Somewhere along your journey, maybe after a spiritual breakthrough, or the quiet collapse of who you used to be, you noticed the ground beneath you wasn't stable anymore. Everything familiar started to feel strange. You could see through the illusions. You heard the world's noise and felt its emptiness. And for a while, that emptiness felt like freedom. You stepped out of the fire into silence, and that silence felt holy, clean. But then, something unexpected happened. The silence didn't turn into purpose. It turned into stillness, into numbness. You weren't striving anymore. You weren't chasing approval. You weren't performing. But it wasn't joy you found. It was a strange kind of peace, one that felt like floating, but also like fading. And then came the question, why do I feel so empty now that I finally see the truth? No one warned you about this. Everyone talks about awakening like it's a destination, but they forget to mention the void that comes next, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. Jung, the Swiss psychologist who mapped the depths of the human psyche, saw this not as a failure, but as a necessary phase, a sacred pause, a threshold, not a collapse, but the cocoon. You were told that awakening would set you free, that once you saw through the illusion, you would feel alive, purposeful, on fire. But no one prepared you for this part, the part where all your desires begin to dissolve. You stop needing praise, you stop chasing goals, not out of depression, but because they simply don't matter anymore. Even the things that once made you proud now feel distant. The version of you who wanted recognition? Gone. The version who dreamed in timelines and milestones? Gone. And what's left behind is a strange kind of silence. Not painful, not dramatic, but eerily still. And in that stillness, many ask the same question. Is this apathy? Or is this what awakening actually feels like? Carl Jung gave this space a name. He called it the sacred terrain between ego death and soul birth. It's not a problem to solve. It's a transformation to endure. In modern life, we panic when motivation fades. We label it laziness, burnout, dysfunction. But Jung saw it as a passage, a necessary descent. Not the collapse of spirit, but the birth of something more honest. The world doesn't know what to do with your stillness. It wants progress, movement, certainty. So when you stop performing, when you no longer chase, strive, or explain, the world labels it dysfunction. But Jung saw something else. He called this space nigredo, the blackening phase of transformation. Not darkness as punishment, but darkness as gestation. Your ego hasn't died. It's simply disoriented. Its script has burned, but no new one has taken its place, and so you feel adrift, not broken, not lost, just untethered. You don't want to hustle. You don't want to impress. You're not lazy. You're between identities. Jung understood this was not apathy. It was initiation. This is the chrysalis stage, where the old form dissolves, and nothing recognizable has emerged yet. But here's the danger. Modern culture is terrified of silence, so it medicates it, pathologizes it, distracts from it. It tells you something is wrong with you for not wanting more. But what if you're not malfunctioning? What if you're transforming? The ego wants a diagnosis. The self wants a dialogue. And in that dialogue, the soul begins to rise, not with urgency, but with resonance. Eventually, something stirs. Not a roar, not a mission statement, but a quiet hum from within. A new kind of motivation arises, not from pressure, not from fear, not from the need to be seen, but from alignment, from resonance, from something within you whispering, "This is who I am now." Carl Jung called this the emergence of the self, not the mask, not the performer, not the achiever, but the inner compass, the part of you that doesn't chase, but calls. And what it calls you toward isn't status, isn't productivity, isn't applause, but wholeness. You begin to create again, not because someone's watching, but because your soul would ache if you didn't. You begin to say no where you used to smile. You follow wonder instead of schedules. You choose peace over performance. This is not a withdrawal from life. It's an embodiment of life, not adrenaline, but presence, not hustle, but harmony. Jung called this living symbolically, not escaping reality, but decoding its deeper meanings, not asking, "What should I do?" but listening, "What is life asking of me now?" And when that voice within grows strong enough, you begin to live from the inside out. You're not missing, you're maturing, you're not broken, you're blooming. But here's the truth. No one tells you. When the self finally begins to lead, life doesn't suddenly become easier. It becomes quieter, deeper, more honest. You still wake up some days and feel tired. You still question yourself. You still have bills to pay, dishes to clean, people to disappoint. But something fundamental has shifted. You're no longer living for anything. You're living from something, from the core, from alignment, from a center that no longer panics when others don't understand you. Your joy may look smaller now, like sipping tea in silence, taking long walks with no destination, or saying less, but meaning more. You may seem less productive to the outside world, but inside, you're finally alive. And this is what Jung meant by individuation, not becoming someone else, but unbecoming everyone you were told to be, so that what's real in you can finally breathe. Let that sink in. You are no longer chasing life. You are allowing life to emerge through you. The old self was a script. This one is a symphony, unwritten, unfolding, unpredictable, and deeply yours.